Are you somebody who's completing his or her intermediate or A-levels this time around, or completing a bachelor's degree, and you would want to apply to Canada for your studies, but you've been a little reluctant because you've heard that Canadian study permit refusal is very high, and more importantly, what you've heard is that getting a PR in Canada on your graduation is difficult. If that's the case, this video is going to be for you, because in today's video, I am going to discuss why it is a good idea to apply for your studies in Canada if you wish to start your bachelor's right after completion of your A-levels or intermediate in the coming months.
Are you ready to explore opportunities that await you overseas? We provide guidance on selecting the right program, university, and location, tailored for your professional goals and career. To achieve your overseas goals and aspirations, go global with Shalee Global.
Welcome back. My name is Hassan Sharik. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, an experienced international student counselor. Through my company, Shalee Global, which has offices now in Lahore, Dubai, and Toronto, we help students get admitted into top universities in Canada and other places as well. So if you're interested in studying abroad, do consider following and subscribing to the channel. Now, coming back to the topic for today's video, which is why it is a good idea to apply for your bachelor studies in Canada if you're going to complete your intermediate or A-levels this time around or next year. Just a bit of a background. There has been a lot of concern with regard to how the economic situation has been in Canada lately. And a lot of students who have been considering Canada as a study destination have been reluctant applying to Canada for two major reasons. One, there is a high refusal, but that is something that has always been for applicants from Pakistan and some other developing countries. But more recently, in the last about 2 years, a lot of students have heard this news through these TikTok videos or through relatives or seniors, that it's very difficult to get PR in Canada on completion of your studies or get professional jobs. There has been a lot of news about, the recent political situation that was there, Mr. Justin Trudeau leaving the party leadership, economic crisis, the inflation and all that. And that has sort of given a perception that, if you go to study in Canada, you do your bachelor's degree, it's going to be very difficult for you to settle there professionally. Yes, in the current circumstances, that is true. But I'm going to sort of break down a few things and tell you that why now is a good time to start your studies in Canada. Our main topic of the video, why it is a good idea for Pakistani students who are completing their intermediate or A-levels right now or next year to start their studies in Canada. And I will break down the benefits in two major components. First, the academic benefits, and then the economic or immigration benefits. So let's start with the academic benefits first. Keep in mind, Canada is a major study destination, so there's the big four in terms of international education are USA, UK, Canada, and Australia, the English-speaking four countries, and then Germany and some other parts of Europe. They come afterwards. Now, whenever somebody is considering studying abroad, specifically from Pakistan or from other developing countries, they are looking at a higher quality of education and then post-study work opportunity. The attractive thing about Canada is, and why you should consider Canada as a study destination, as a top study destination for yourself or for your kids, is that Canada has a public education system, more specifically when it comes to the university level education. So in the country, there's a little more than 100 universities, and about 90-95% of these universities are public universities. So academically, this is a very important thing. You can say almost all Canadian universities have a high quality of education because these are public universities. They are regulated by the provincial government. They only get university charter because they have good quality academic delivery, and then the provincial governments are giving them research grants and funding. So when it comes to quality of education, most of the Canadian universities are equal. Yes, some big brand names like University of Toronto, McGill, UBC, they have high rankings, but those rankings do not really impact at the undergraduate level, at the bachelor's level. So first benefit academically, why you should consider Canada as your top study destination is that quality of education is pretty similar, very well regulated. Any public university that you get admitted to, you'll get good quality education. This is important, especially for parents as well. See, there will be universities which will charge 35 to 40,000 Canadian dollars per year as the tuition fee. And then there will be universities which might charge less than that. So say University of Prince Edward Island, a very good university. We represent that university here in Pakistan and the other countries that we operate in. This university charges something like 18 to 20,000 Canadian dollars as the annual tuition fee. So very affordable. Now, if you go to University of Prince Edward Island, or you go to some big university like York University, where the fee is around 35,000 Canadian dollars, it's the quality of education is going to be pretty much similar, right? So even if you want to save, even if your kid has not got the scholarship, but you save on tuition fee by going into a university which has a low annual tuition fee, quality of education is there, number one. Number two academic benefit is that Canada has a lot of focus on hands-on learning. There is an offering in most Canadian universities. This is a Canadian concept called the co-op, the cooperative education. In co-op, what happens is that the student takes a break from their studies and they're put into actual jobs, not just internships, work placements, actual work in companies where they're paid as a full-time employee. It will be starting salaries, entry-level salaries, because they haven't even graduated from university, but they are going to be doing real-time work and they're going to be paid real-time. Now, the benefit is that if you or your child opts for a co-op degree or a co-op program, it's optional, by the way, so it's your choice. By the time that they graduate, they'll have around 1 year of professional work experience in Canada, which is going to greatly increase their employability. They will have, because these are paid positions, so they would have made some money out of this as well. And more importantly, once you graduate, you want that professional experience on your resume. Companies that you've worked with, a lot of times they offer you full-time role on your graduation. So this co-op model is not offered as a country, as a study destination, other places. There are individual universities in US and in other places which have now started to offer this, but co-op is a Canadian thing. It's an amazing opportunity that you don't find anywhere else. And even if the student is not doing co-op, there's a lot of focus on providing them with hands-on professional experience by the time that they graduate. So this is the second reason why you should consider Canada as a top study destination for yourself. Now coming towards the immigration or post-study work reasons. There has been a lot of misconception. People who do not understand the Canadian immigration ecosystem and Canadian society in general have been misled themselves, and a lot of people, a lot of educational consultants have misled them as well. Myself as a Canadian myself, and as somebody who's practicing Canadian immigration law in Canada for many years, I'll present certain facts based on the intricacies of the Canadian system. Canada is a large economy with a very small population and an aging population. At the current aging level, Canada will have a population where they need a lot of youngsters coming in. And right now, the way the system is built is that they want these youngsters coming in through their education system. So those who join Canadian universities, especially those students who are doing their intermediate or A-levels, and they join Canadian universities right now, they have a lot of good prospects post-graduation. See, first, there is a bit of economic turbulence at this moment, but keep in mind that you guys who are going to join Canadian universities for your bachelor's, say this year, fall 2025, or fall 2026, or winter term 2026, you have 4 years to graduate. So we're talking of 4 years from now, or 5 years from now, when you will be applying for your jobs and the post-study work rights and the permanent residency. There is a new government in place, which is led by an economist, and the focus next 12 months is going to be bringing the economics back. This means that when you graduate, or you're about to graduate, Canadian economy is going to be much more stabilized. Right now, the issue that the Canadian government has is that there's a lot of temporary residents who've come into the country without much scrutiny. And having worked at York University for about 6 years, I've recruited a lot of students from around the world. I actually had a call in the morning with a student whom I recruited many years ago here from Pakistan. And now that guy has graduated, he's working, and I'm working on his permanent residency application. If you go to a Canadian university and you do your bachelor's, and you do it well, you build your communication skills, you do a co-op that I mentioned earlier, you do some internships. On your graduation, you'll get the postgraduate work permit. So you will have 3 more years to work in Canada, whatever you want to do, right? With a good bachelor's degree from Canada, good communication skills, knowing the Canadian work environment, 3 years of work rights means that you should be able to land into a professional job within next 3 to 4 months. Once you do that, and you are able to gain 12 months of Canadian work experience, that is when you become eligible for various Canadian experience class immigration categories or the provincial nomination categories, which are not open for people from outside of Canada. Now, where the problem is, a lot of these students who've been, making videos and shouting that, there's not enough prospects for settlement post-study in Canada, these are people who were above 40 years, in some cases above 50 years of age. They only had grade 12 from their countries. Huge education gaps, not good communication skills. They went on a diploma, on a certificate in Canada. Somehow they were able to get a visa. They never went into a class. They only did Uber. They did these kind of jobs. And once they graduated and they came out, when they sat for an interview, they were not able to convince the employer that they should be hired on those positions. Just a degree is not going to, bring you in a position that you get that job. This is where you will have the advantage because you've done a 4 years bachelor's degree. You've studied well in that. You have the communication skills. You might have already obtained 1 year experience through co-op or internships. This is the workforce that Canadian employer is looking for. There is a huge shortage. Canada, which has a population of about 35-36 million, it's an aging population. They need, I'd say, about 100 to 200,000 such skilled youngsters every year. And that is why I believe that all of you who are doing their intermediate or A-levels this year, 2025, or next year, 2026, you have the best opportunity to study in Canada and then build your career in Canada. This year, 2025, 2024, the numbers were cut down. So all those who are on ground, they'll be exhausted within the system in next 1 to 2 years. And that is when, again, the Canadian education, immigration, and economic system is going to need supply of good quality youngsters that have been trained by their own universities, which will be you. So for this prime reason, knowing this whole ecosystem, I believe that those students who are completing their intermediate and A-levels this time around and they get into a 4 years bachelor's degree in any Canadian university, they are going to benefit the most. Based on these various reasons, I conclude that it is a great opportunity right now to apply to Canada for your undergraduate studies. For 2025, a lot of universities are still accepting. If you're doing intermediate or A-levels, there's pathways as well. If you need help with admissions, we can help you with that. There are certain universities which are going to have their Jan 2026 intake as well, so you can take advantage of that. For those who are going to do their A-levels or intermediate next year, we can start your applications in September, October, and then get you in the next year as well. So with this, I'll ask for leave, and with the conclusion that I've already given, that Canada right now is a great option for those who are looking at starting their undergraduate studies. Do not get swayed away by the perception that has been built. It was for a very different segment of applicants who went in there. Those people will be out of the system in at max 18 months from now. And then the big vacuum, the big opportunity that is there, that is for you folks who are going to start the undergraduate this fall or next fall. If you need any help with admissions in Canada, applying for your study permit in Canada, you know who to contact. We'll be more than happy to assist you through our company here in Pakistan. And if you would want to come and meet myself or my staff here in Pakistan, you're more than welcome. With this, I'll ask for leave, and I'll be back soon with another video on a topic of international education or immigration. Till that time, take very good care of yourself and your loved ones. Bye-bye.